First Minister and First Deputy Minister would always get the floor and be part of this discussion. And if you would recall, Madam Chair, we also devoted one of our set of proposals for even more improved involvement of the Northern Ireland representatives in the dealing of the protocol. One aspect would be, of course, the contacts between the elected representatives, where we would be ready to establish the structured dialogues between Northern Ireland stakeholders, representing authorities, civic societies and businesses, and the Commission. We have now ongoing discussion what would be the best setup for EU-UK parliamentary cooperation, and what would be the best way how to also accommodate clearly the interest of Northern Ireland MLAs in this discussion. But here we have to find the solution with the UK, and of course it would be good to find the solution within the UK, how it would be more appropriate for these discussions to take place. I also know that there is a huge interest from the civil service, from the business communities to be better informed and more involved in our discussions in the EU on current or future legislative proposals. And what we are suggesting is to have a special consultation procedure, special for Northern Ireland, where we would take particular attention to your comments in our public consultations, where we are ready to improve the work of the joint consultative working group, where we are ready to provide you with additional answers if needed, and create a special website where all the legislative acts which might be applicable for Northern Ireland would be very clearly distinguished, so it would not be a hassle or difficulty for Northern Irish businesses or political leaders or civil servants just to check what is on the agenda, what is actually applicable, and to make it as easier as possible. So there is a lot of opportunities how we can do that. I just really would like to reassure you on our goodwill to be as close to you as possible, as acceptable to the UK government, as conducive to our mutual relations. And there have been a lot of ideas which have been put on the table, and I will be very happy if we would have the chance to discuss them, because right now we are focusing on, I would say, other topics, but I recognize that this is one of the issues which is very important for Northern Ireland.
Thank you very much for that comprehensive answer, and we look forward to exploring those opportunities, because the voice of the business community, civic society and the political representatives needs to be centre to issues that affect us here in Northern Ireland, and we must look at ways to do that. We have been engaging with the UK government and finding it actually pretty difficult to get them to recognise that as well, and to give that reach out, particularly around the Parliamentary Partnership Agreement, and that they're talking about the devolved nations having an observer status, and that's really not quite effective for us here in Northern Ireland when there is so much involved in our particular set of circumstances. So can I now ask the Vice Chair, John Stewart, to come into the spotlight, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Vice President, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
Excellent. Thank you very much for coming along this evening. Appreciate your time and for taking questions from us this evening. I don't want to keep you too long because I'm conscious of your time and other members' opportunities to come in. The first issue I have is the supply of medicines. It is absolutely critical for Northern Ireland's health service and also for its people. The clock, Vice President, is rapidly running down, and the proposals put forward by the European Commission simply don't go far enough. I know you touched on this during your presentation, It was September, you were here previously, it's now December. When are you going to solve the issue of medicines? Why not just remove medicines from the protocol completely? Surely you must agree that the integrity of the EU single market is not affected by medicines coming into Northern Ireland, and hopefully you agree with me of the seriousness to sort out this issue as quickly as possible.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stewart, for your questions. I think if it comes to the medicine, we fully recognize the urgency of this matter, and you would, I'm sure, recall that our proposal how to solve this issue was put on the table already on the 30th of June, and I was very conscious of the UK stand on this issue, which, if I can characterize what is very important for us, is not only the content, also the process and the fact that we have to show that we are jointly arriving at the solutions, which I fully respected. And I think that's one of the reasons why we are still discussing the matters. What I think was very important for the Northern Irish people was to make sure that all across the UK, the people would have the access to the same medicine at the same time, and the system of the NHS is no way affected. And we found a solution to all these questions, and we found it within the protocol. Therefore, I think that it would be much better to focus on the practical solution of this matter, because carving out certain sectors from the protocol would amount to the renegotiation of the protocol. And very honestly, I do not have the mandate for that. And we've been negotiating the protocol for years to come, and therefore, when we are offering the solution which tick all the boxes which I know are important for uninterrupted supplies of medicine to Northern Ireland, my strong recommendation and of course the preference would be to go in that direction.
Okay, thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
It is just the timings do just concern me, and I appreciate that you are looking at it, but I just don't think it's fast enough. Both the British Manufacturers Association of Pharmaceuticals and the Republic of Ireland have said that the snail's pace that this is going at is not working, and that the pharmaceutical industry and the import of medicines could well be affected. So I would urge with every possible efforts that you could to address this. My second point, you highlighted, Vice President, about the ongoing consultation that you've had, and a lot of that, and I'm grateful for it, has been with both civic and political unionism. I'm just keen to get a flavour for how the concerns of civic and political unionism, and they've been well aired by myself, my party and others about the protocol, how, following your consultations, they have impacted and influenced your approach to the current negotiations in an attempt to find a solution that works for everybody, to quote yourself in the past.
Thank you very much, sir. If you allow me, just on your first question, because we have total agreement on the urgency of the matter. That I very clearly would like to reassure you on that, and therefore, I mean, the last I would say 3-4 weeks, this is for me number one agenda item in our discussions with David Frost, and I would, of course, 100% prefer if we can present these good solutions as a joint approach, which actually solve the problems for the Northern Ireland. But I'm fully conscious of time. I know that time is running out, and I will push again this Friday in the discussion with Lord Frost to solve this matter. But at the same time, I also have to be very, very clear that we are ready to move on our own, if that would be not possible, to push at this stage on the joint approach. And talking about the time gap and the pharma industry, again, I would like to reassure you that we have extensive consultations with the pharmaceutical industry, and what we hear from them is that the proposals we put on the table are solving their problems. I'm fully conscious of certain time which would be needed to approve this legislation, but we are looking for additional also legal safeguards to make sure there will be no gap whatsoever in supplying the medicines to Northern Ireland, and this was the way how we also informed the pharma industry. And I believe that the concerns in these regards been calmed down, and therefore. You would understand also my insistence on this issue when I'm talking to my UK counterparts. If it comes to the civil and political unionism, here what I really want to say is that for us very clearly, I mean the reflection of our positions being jointly approved by the EU and the UK in the first articles of the protocol, which says that we respect territorial integrity, we respect constitutional arrangement, and we want to deliver the solutions which are working for all communities in the Northern Ireland, and therefore for us such a primary topic was to avoid the hard border on the island. And these are, I would say, the key prerogatives. These are for us the key criteria with which we are entering any discussions, any negotiations, and which been our guiding principles all along the very long and sometimes very difficult negotiations. And I just really would like to assure you about our sincerity in this regard. We have no hidden agenda. I said very clearly, I do not need and I do not aim at any political victory. We just want this problem to be solved. In this regard, I can say that we want to get Brexit done, so we can actually move with our UK partners to discuss also, I would say, the issue of strategic importance of global responsibilities, which we both share, and to make sure that we will be creating and consolidating the opportunities for the Northern Ireland, and reducing, minimizing, and if possible, getting rid of the problems which might be created by Brexit for the Northern Ireland. So that's our approach, and this is, our primary goals upon which we are working here in the Commission and with our EU member states and parliamentarians in the European Parliament.
Okay, thanks, Bank President. I mean, on that we are agreed. I want to find a solution as well that works for everybody. I just don't want to see any trade barriers or any restrictions east-west between Northern Ireland and the rest of the United Kingdom, and also in north-south. But I appreciate your time and conscious of the time as well. So I'll pass back to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair, for that. And can I open the questions now to Diane Dodds? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, Commissioner. It's very good to see you again and to hear from you. Although I must say we are disappointed that there is nothing essentially new in what you have told us today. I want to focus on two issues. And the first issue is that very important issue of consent. I am speaking to you today from a democratically elected assembly where all matters of substance or contention have consent gained through a cross-community vote, as the Belfast Good Friday Agreement indicates. And today you indicated your support, I noted it, that you wanted to see the Good Friday Belfast Agreement implemented in all its parts, and you even talked about in all its dimensions. So cross-community support is very important. However, in this House, no Unionist party gives consent to the Northern Ireland Protocol. And therefore there is no consent if we take consent as measured by the Belfast Agreement. There is no consent for the Irish Sea border. And there is no consent, or indeed democratic mechanism, for EU law being imposed on Northern Ireland. And there certainly is no consent for Article 6 of the Act of Union, as we heard in court yesterday, being subjugated to the Northern Ireland Protocol. So how will you work to resolve the issue of consent, and particularly the consent of unionism with the Northern Ireland Protocol, and the democratic deficit that is created by it. So that's my first question. My second question to you is, quite rightly, you did today talk about not having heated political debate, but today President Macron is quoted as saying that for Ireland, the issue of the Northern Ireland Protocol is a matter of war and peace. Do you condemn President Macron's statement? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Dodos, for your question. I think that if you are looking at the democratic aspects of the protocol, I think what is very important to underline that EU and UK, as to use the preferred language of our UK partners, as sovereign equals, democratically negotiated, approved and ratified the withdrawal agreement and the protocol on Ireland and Northern Ireland. And as you've been following this process very, very closely, so you know that there's been extremely detailed negotiations, that every single word, every single expression was discussed and negotiated and assessed from all aspects. So I'm sure that the both sides been adopting and approving this very important agreement in a full conscience and with a full political legitimacy and with complete democratic credentials and with overwhelming majority in the UK Parliament as it was in the European Parliament. So I think that from our side, we did our utmost to make sure that this agreement's been approved and negotiated in the most transparent and democratic manner. I am, of course, fully conscious about the positions and the concerns of the Unionist community in the Northern Ireland. And what I'm trying to do is to demonstrate to the Unionist community that we have good answers to their concerns. I had several meetings with the top Unionist representatives, and I'm always open to further discussion because I'm sure that the Unionist community has also very much on the mind the benefits, the prosperity which the protocol can bring to the business community in Northern Ireland. And I know that your community has also on top of the mind a lot of different aspects, challenges, and the issues to be dealt with. And I think that we are very clearly demonstrating that we are ready to deliver, to be extremely creative, to check our rules from inside out and even to change our own laws like we do in the case of uninterrupted supply of medicine to Northern Ireland. And then we can act extremely swiftly to solve the problems. So I hope that this continuous engagement, this openness, this extended hand for the cooperation with all communities and the key political parties in Northern Ireland will bring us into the situation where we can show by the real proposals and real solutions that what we mean is indeed to find the best possible solution for Northern Ireland. And I know that the politics is extremely difficult, but we will continue to do our best to work on these issues so we can convince the Unionist community that we are really acting here in a good faith from the beginning, throughout the whole process. We do it now and we will also do it in the future. And of course, if you are talking about the protocol on Ireland and Northern Ireland, I have to tell you that when I was visiting the beautiful island of Ireland, one of the lasting memories I brought from there been very dramatic pictures from Fleury Bridge. How the whole region looked 20, 25 years ago, and how it looks now, how this dramatic picture has been replaced by the thriving business community and by the people working very constructively and friendly on the both sides of the border and across the communities. And that was for me a very strong moment. You know that I'm actually coming from Slovakia, and I was growing up behind the Iron Curtain until I was 23. So I can very much relate to what it means if you have a freedom to travel, if you have a hard border, if you have no border, and if you are living in very difficult circumstances, and therefore I just want to tell you that also this my personal history is I would say testimonial to why I put so much attention and emphasis on peace, and this is what we as a EU and the European Commission are putting on the top list of all our priorities, and we will do our utmost to bring this as a concrete examples also to the community you represent and to all other communities in the Northern Ireland.
Commissioner, and just a very brief comment, because I accept your good faith and I accept that your own experiences shape some of what you do. But I think that we cannot go past the fact that for many in the Unionist community, this is also a matter of sovereignty, and that the protocol breaches that sovereignty and that internal market of the United Kingdom. You, and I, just a very quick response from you. You quoted some statistics published yesterday by the ONS survey. However, statistics published today in Northern Ireland tells us that there appears to be no evidence that the protocol allows Northern Ireland to enjoy the best of both worlds, and that is because of the trade barriers between us and our greatest market. So I think we should interpret some of the statistics that you quoted earlier with some caution. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And can we bring Pat Sheehan into the spotlight, please?
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Vice President Sefcovic, for coming along and engaging with us today. I'd also like to thank you and the Commission for the very reasonable proposals that you have put on the table to try and resolve the outstanding operational difficulties. And I'd also like to thank you and commend you for your patience in dealing with the British government negotiators, who aren't noted for their integrity or honesty or good faith. I know it must be a difficult challenge for you, but I'm quite sure you're up for it. I suppose one of the fears some people have here is that those same negotiators that you're sitting across the table from have exaggerated the difficulties surrounding the protocol. Some will say it's raising community tensions, it's leading to unrest, it's doing economic damage to the north here, and even a figure of 850 million has been quoted as having been taken out of the economy here every year. But I was heartened to hear your introductory remarks where you quoted from the Chamber of Commerce here and the unique opportunities that they see in the protocol. The statistics that were released from the Office of National Statistics. And there's another report out this week also from the Irish Maritime Development Office that has found that the last 6 months have been the busiest on record for freight traffic into northern ports of Belfast, Larne and Warren Point. And that traffic is 11% higher than it was this time 2 years ago. So surely if the protocol was as difficult as some say, the results coming out from all of those groups that I have mentioned would be completely different. So I suppose, as I say, the fear is that negotiators are trying to leverage concessions from the EU on the basis of false information. But as I say, it's heartening to see that you have an idea of what the real picture is. And I'm just wondering, is there a time limit on these discussions that are going on? Do you have a cut-off date when you think they're no longer viable? And I'm sure you're aware also that former members of the British government and advisors have suggested that it was always the intention of this British government to disregard and renege on any negotiations that had been concluded with the EU, and that they would engage in essentially perpetual conflict with the EU. And I'm just wondering, would you like to comment on that? Thanks.
Thank you very much. Also for your comments and the question. I think that just also underlines, and I would link it also with my previous answers, that to get to Northern Ireland, that enormous opportunity to have the best of both worlds, or as one of the business leaders describe it, to be in the situation when you would have the jam on the both sides of the bread. I think, of course, we need to work hard for that. I think that clearly the benefits of the dual axis are already showing. You mentioned some of the statistics, which I can confirm that trade is really picking up. And of course, we are fully conscious, and I heard it from the business leaders that have been very open, that not all of them are planning right now or would plan in the future to do the trade with the EU. That for them, what is very important, this is intra UK GB NI trade, and I fully respect that, and it's absolutely okay. And of course, we need to make sure that the trade is as smooth as possible, and that we do it in a way that we can guarantee that, and guarantee also the integrity of the EU single market. That was, I would say, the basic logic and construction of the protocol. Having learned and gaining, I would say, the experience and listening carefully to the business community, I think that we pretty know what is important to do here. I was talking about stability, predictability, legal certainty, but I'm also talking about the need to have our joint efforts in cutting the customs formalities by half. We are ready to do that, and we hope that we'll get the sincere, intense engagement from our UK parts in that regards. And in this particular area, I think our experts are talking to each other, and I hope that we can find a solution. But the discussion is more difficult, I have to admit, is sanitary and phytosanitary controls, where we are proposing 80% of reduction of documentary and physical checks. I think this is pretty important. We are proposing to create the express lanes. So I think that if we work very well together, we would have very smooth operation within the UK GB, NIGB, but also NIEU. And at the same time, I can report to our member states that integrity of the single market is protected. So I think this should be our goal. We should focus on, and we think that we know how to deliver. What, to be very honest, could smoothen it further would be when we as a EU will finally get the real-time access to the IT systems, because I believe that after gaining initial experience, we can still discuss with our UK partners what else can we do, how we can improve the system. Once we would know what are the trade flows, what is the initial data, how can we assess them, because so far the access to the IT and data is rather limited. So that always goes smooth approach together with safeguards. And I was really hoping that with our proposals on the table that we would be indeed in a home stretch. And my ambition was that we should resolve these issues by Christmas. That was what I wanted. This is what I wanted to do. I believe that if there would be a genuine good political will on the both sides, we can clearly arrive at that goal. But from our side, I think you already know us quite well by now. We will focus on the solutions. We'll put all our energy into it. We are not working with artificial deadlines, but I think that sooner we resolve it, better it will be for the people in Northern Ireland, for the businesses in the Northern Ireland, and I think that there is a huge political dividend in resolving these issues as soon as possible, and that's remain our goal. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that, and thank you for your positivity here today, and I wish you luck in your discussions with the British government. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Pat. And can I bring Christopher Stalford into the spotlight, please? Thanks.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your answers so far, Dr. Sefcovic. If you're prepared to see the abolition of so many of the measures that were contained in the initial agreement, why did you ask for them in the first instance?
Would you be so kind to repeat the question, because I lost the last part of it? I'm sorry.
If you're prepared to see the abolition of so many of the regulatory checks that were being talked about, why did you ask for them in the first instance?
Now I get your question. I think that you know what is important to say. I think that we have a strong echo. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can. I'll mute my microphone.
Thank you, sir. I mean, if it comes, I mean, to your question, I think again, what I have to say here is that in these very intense and difficult negotiations, what we've been, of course, looking at was how to make sure that we will have no hard border on the island of Ireland, and how we would make sure that Northern Ireland would have access to the single market for goods. And of course, to be on the single market, it means that the good is in Northern Ireland is not controlled by anyone else. So it could end up in France, in Slovakia, in Lithuania, everywhere. Nobody is going to check it. And of course, as you know, the single market is, of course, framed by very clear legislative framework. So it was only natural that the access to the single market clearly had to be done within the same framework, and the same processes are still needed. What we are doing here is that we are not abolishing the checks. We are actually looking for the ways in very, very creative manner how to make sure that we would reduce them, that we would make them as smooth as possible using IT databases, that it would present the least possible burden for the business community, and delivering on the need to protect the EU single market, and also all benefits the Northern Ireland has from being on the single market for good. So that's a little bit what I think it's very important to clarify.
Yeah, I welcome the conversion, not necessarily of yourself, but I certainly welcome the conversion of some of the parties in Stormont. Apparently IT databases and trusted trader schemes are now viable alternatives to trade friction. That hasn't been what they've been saying for the past 4 years. Obviously, the context of the reduction that is being advertised, the reduction of checks, that entailed obviously the full implementation of the protocol. So it's entirely possible that when the grace periods come to an end, it's entirely possible that while a percentage reduction of existing checks is being sort of talked about, that the overall number of checks will increase, isn't it, when the grace periods come to a conclusion?
I think that what clearly we would like to achieve here is a durable, long-lasting solution. So therefore, what we are proposing is to find the solutions on customs procedures, on the SPS check. And what I am suggesting is, as I said, 50% reduction of customs formalities, which of course are part of being on the single market, and 80% of cut in physical checks if it comes to the SPS. So I think that this is very important on what we have to focus, and I believe that if we put our proposals together, I believe that we would have even better solutions than we have current grace periods. And there is a lot of elements linked with that. And of course, it would be good to have more expert discussion on this matter, but our proposals are indeed comprehensive, and creation of the express lane and all that measures to smoothen further the NI, GB, GBNI trade are really possible, and that's what we are working for.
I appreciate that what we're talking about presently is the sort of wheels on the ground, moving stuff physically. Do you know that the biggest burden upon business is not necessarily the moving of the stuff physically, but it's actually the administrative burden, the filling in of the customs declarations, the filling in of the forms. Now, what indication can you give me that whilst the percentage of the number of physical checks taking place will be reduced, the requirement for filling in those forms will correspondingly be reduced by 80 and 50%?
Yeah, I think what what I want to highlight is that if you would imagine that it would be possible that you would have the goods to the UK market which are not cleared by customs, and they are not checked by the SPS professionals. I think simply you want to uphold and maintain the integrity of the UK market, to make sure that if it comes to public health, animal health, plant health, that simply your market will be protected, and we do the same. Because I mean this comes hand in hand with the fact that once the goods are in the Northern Ireland, they are not checked anymore in the whole EU, and therefore what we are doing here is to making sure that these checks and controls which are necessary, and we are really putting them to the bare minimum and using to the maximum the IT technologies, is done in the least obtrusive way. It could be done through the combination of trusted trader scheme, of express lane, and on making I would say, the operations as smooth and seamless as possible. And I think that's honestly the way to go, because we need to make sure that also public health and animal health and plant health, all these are really controlled, because of course we bear responsibility for that.
Thank you.
Can I just interrupt there, because I'm very conscious that the Vice President has given us a very time framed 1 hour, and we've now gone over that. And so can I just take this opportunity now, Vice President, to thank you for coming along to our committee this afternoon and keeping us abreast with the negotiations as they're unfolding. And we look forward to welcoming you back, and hopefully we will have positive conclusions to those negotiations, and that the flexibilities that we are hoping for are realised in the coming days and weeks, because the sooner we get to a stable marketplace, the absolute better for our businesses and for our people. Thank you very much, and we will be issuing an invitation for you to come back and brief the committee when those negotiations come to a conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, folks, we were told that he had just 1 hour, so I wanted to be respectful of his time as well. So we're just getting into the closing of the meeting. It's item number 10, any other business. Is there any other business from the members?
Yeah, just press release.
Oh, yeah, sorry. We do have an item of a press release. It was sent out yesterday. It was sent out yesterday evening. Just a press release that will go out from this committee, and the members get a chance to see it and sign it off. Are you happy to sign it off?
No, that's not.
Went out about 7 o'clock last night, maybe?
No.
Oh, was it? No. There you go, 9 o'clock last night.
We're going to go, Chair, to go into the table papers, or?
No.
Oh, I'm glad somebody else did.
No, it just went straight to your email last night, yesterday evening at about 9 o'clock. I thought it was about 7, but there you go. That's just tells you all you need to know about my evenings.
Chair, I have to confess I haven't seen it myself. And in any event, I'm not sure we're quoted, are we?
We kind of got permission from Trevor before he left in relation to the press release. So if members want to take maybe time this afternoon or this evening to kind of have a wee read of it and give a wee email into the clerk, and he can issue it later on. Is that okay? I can assure you there's nothing too controversial in the press release at all. It's just an acknowledgement of the briefing this afternoon.
I'll send it around again too.
So, in fact, the clerk has just indicated he'll send it around again, so it'll be at the top of your inbox. Okay. Date and time and place of next meeting. The meeting is scheduled to take place next Wednesday, the 8th of December at 2 p.m. at room 30.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Chair, just before you finish, I've just read the press release and I'm happy with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Fair enough.
You happy enough? Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30.